creepy men who prey on high school girls. And it ends a human rights abuse. But legislators are refusing to vote on it. Is that okay? No!
A state senator looks directly into a camera and says, "I'm not voting on it." The question was whether to end child marriage. That refusal, captured in a public hearing, is where this story begins. Not with a debate over values, with a refusal to debate at all.
In Ohio, specifically senators, have refused to vote on SB 341. This bill has been languishing. It has only support from the public, not a single member of the public.
Picture a gavel resting on a desk, motionless, while a bill sits a few feet away. The bill has the votes. The committee passed it unanimously. The public supports it, and yet the gavel does not move. That is the precise image of Senate Bill 341 in Ohio. A bill to ban child marriage, passed out of committee without a single objection, now frozen on the floor awaiting a vote that nobody has scheduled.
Yeah, there's a couple things at play here. One, I do think this gets done, this General Assembly. Both leaders of the House and the Senate have said, look, we should pass this. It did pass out of committee unanimously.
Senator Lewis Blessing, the bill's sponsor, confirmed this strange purgatory. The legislation cleared committee unanimously. It awaits a floor vote. Both chamber leaders have said it should pass, but the bill was introduced late in the session, and the clock moves faster than the lawmakers.
We're looking at forced marriages and the push to end child marriage in Ohio.
I'm not voting on it. Is that okay? No!
I'm Anjanelle.
The paperwork was ready. The votes were counted. But the floor never opened. That is the first time you hear it. The paperwork was ready.
It's the concern about this leading to or potentially being like human trafficking when these forced underage marriages occur.
Well, the federal government doesn't set a minimum age for spousal or fiancé visas. Instead, it defers to the law in the state where the couple will reside. And the law in Ohio says you can be entered into marriage at 17. So what that means is that girls age 17 in Ohio can legally be trafficked for their citizenship, dragged overseas, forced to marry.
Now, a bill stalled in a legislature is not news. This becomes news when you understand what the stall protects. Freda Reese, founder of Unchained at Last, walked through the mechanics of what current Ohio law permits. The federal government does not set a minimum age for spousal visas. It defers to the law in the state where the couple will reside. Ohio law allows marriage at 17, which means a girl in Ohio can be trafficked across a border for her citizenship, forced to marry an adult man who receives a visa and a path to a green card.
An adult man who, this lucky guy, gets a visa and a path to citizenship. And also on the reverse side, men in Ohio can legally import a child bride of age 17 from any country around the world, sex traffic them to the U.S.
And it works in the other direction. Men in Ohio can legally import a child bride from any country, bring her to the United States under the legal cover of marriage, and it is permitted because Ohio says marriage at 17 is legal.
Under the guise of marriage, and it's legal because marriage at 17 is legal in Ohio. And the U.S. Senate Homeland Security Committee issued a report showing thousands of teens are being trafficked under the guise of marriage because of this loophole in federal law combined with weak state laws like the one in Ohio. And almost all of these teens.
A U.S. Senate Homeland Security Committee report documented thousands of cases of this, thousands of teens trafficked under the cover of marriage licenses because of the gap between federal immigration law and state marriage statutes. The victims are almost exclusively girls. The perpetrators are adult men. The paperwork makes it legal.
Really just a horrific, unconscionable legal loophole is by making the marriage age 18, no exceptions, because then we cannot traffic minors under the guise of marriage from or to your state.
Other states solve this by doing one thing, setting the marriage age at 18 with no exceptions. That removes the loophole. You cannot traffic a minor into or out of your state if your state does not permit minors to marry. The math is not complicated. The legislative fix is one sentence.
This dropped late. It's a high number for Senate bills at 341. I want to say we dropped this in February or March, which, the General Assembly can operate incredibly quickly if it wants to. But to me, I'm willing to give.
So why hasn't Ohio passed it? Senator Blessing offered a partial answer. The bill arrived late. The session moves at its own pace. But then he added something else. Concerns were raised. Not about drafting, not about constitutionality. Concerns about what banning child marriage might do to abortion rates.
And, admittedly, there's not a lot of cases of underage marriage in Ohio even today. So it's not like this is becoming a vanishingly small problem.
Some legislators argued that if a pregnant teenager cannot marry, she might choose to terminate the pregnancy instead. Blessing noted the math. Ohio saw 2 to 3 dozen underage marriages in 2024. The idea that this bill meaningfully impacts statewide abortion numbers is not supported by the data.
It's like, what's the reason for a 17-year-old to get married? Like, why is it not just flying through the state house and through the legislature
And then there was the other objection, parental rights. The argument that the government should not interfere with a family's decision to marry off a daughter. Blessing's response was direct. The state already overrides parental rights to protect children. That is the entire function of child welfare law.
They want to marry. In the case of one senator, well, I was married before 18, or my parents were married before 18, and that turned out fine. It doesn't matter that 1 or 2 people turned out fine. What we know is that marriage before 18.
Meanwhile, in hearings, Freda Rees watched senators romanticize the practice. Some said they knew someone who married young and turned out fine. Others said their own parents married before 18. Rees's reply is the kind of sentence that should end every legislative debate on this subject. 1 or 2 people turning out fine does not mean girls in Ohio should be up for sale.
It is absolutely a forced marriage. Globally, any marriage in which even one party or both parties are under the age of 18 is recognized as forced.
And on the legal definition, Rees left no room for interpretation. Any marriage where one party is under 18 is, globally, a forced marriage. It does not matter how mature the minor seems. It does not matter if she says yes.
No to a marriage you don't want. You just cannot protect yourself from being forced to marry. That means you cannot give full, free consent to marriage. So by definition, that is a forced marriage. And forced marriage is a form of modern slavery. So we're talking about a really horrific situation, and it doesn't.
Before age 18, a person cannot enter a domestic violence shelter on her own. She cannot retain an attorney. She cannot file a legal action. She cannot leave home without being considered a runaway, which means she cannot refuse a marriage she does not want. Consent, in that framework, is a legal fiction. Rees called it a form of modern slavery.
Nothing that we can do for someone who's not 18, and that's why we started this national movement. When we first started realizing that child marriage was such a big problem in the United States in about 2015, child marriage was legal in all 50 states. But we've been going state by state, and to date, we've been able to help ban child marriage in 17 states and DC and 2 U.S. territories. And there is legislation pending now in Ohio so that Ohio can catch up to its neighbors, that Pennsylvania and every state going east.
This is not a marginal issue. When Unchained at last began tracking in 2015, child marriage was legal in all 50 states. They have since helped ban it in 17 states and the District of Columbia. Pennsylvania banned it. Every state east and north of Ohio has banned it. Ohio is now what Rees called a destination state, a place where parents can bring minors to circumvent stricter laws across state lines.
child marriage, meaning teens under 18 can marry. The states that have banned child marriage are in purple on this map. Other states like Ohio and Orange have strong bills pending. The other states on the map allow some form of child marriage.
33 states still allow some form of child marriage. The map on Unchained at Last's website shows the divide. Purple states have banned it. The rest, in orange and gray, still permit it. Ohio is in orange. The bill is written. It costs nothing. It harms no one. The U.S. State Department classifies marriage before 18 as a human rights abuse.
Age 18, no exceptions, costs nothing, harms no one, ends what the U.S. State Department calls a human rights abuse because of the devastating lifelong repercussions that marriage before 18 produces. And yet
the bill sits. So here is the thriller question buried inside this legislative story. What happens faster? A floor vote? Or the next underage marriage license issued in a state that knows this loophole exists and has the votes to close it but has not closed it? The paperwork was ready.
You're going to see unanimous or near unanimous votes on this. I say near unanimous because I watched what happened in, I believe it was Oklahoma, where it went out of the Senate there unanimous and then got to the House and then passed by literally a single vote.
Blessing believes the bill passes. He expects it to clear both chambers. But he also watched what happened in Oklahoma, where a similar ban passed the Senate unanimously and then survived the House by a single vote. A single legislator almost preserved child marriage in a state because the politics got complicated. That was not a debate about rights. It was a near miss on a bill with no organized opposition.
Well, Anjanette, thank you for raising awareness, and I hope everyone will contact your legislator in Ohio and let them know you want them to pass SB 341. Let's end child marriage. There's no reason we can't vote on this simple common sense legislation and end this human rights abuse.
Reese closed her testimony with a request. Contact your legislator. Tell them you want SB 341 passed. There is no reason, she said, that we cannot vote on this simple, common sense legislation and end this human rights abuse. The bill number is public record. The committee vote is public record. The Senate calendar is public record. What is not public is why the floor vote has not been called.
Interesting. It's crazy to me that kids can get married in any state that allows it. So, Senator Lewis, blessing, we're going to keep an eye on it. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Anjanette.
Attorneys.
The paperwork was ready. Look up Ohio SB 341. Find out if your state still permits marriage under 18. And in the comments, answer one question. What credible justification exists for any legislator in any state to delay a bill that bans the trafficking of children under the cover of a marriage license?